All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is getting real, and it's not going to be long before we really have to start standing firm in our beliefs and our convictions if we don't want to be railroaded. And I think right now is the prime opportunity to start thinking about the things in life that we are willing to give up, because I don't think it's going to be long before we're forced into making that decision, because there is something that happened recently that really opened my eyes to this. And it allowed me to see very clearly the direction things are headed. And that thing I'm referring to is Discord. And I had a Discord for this channel. It was called the Apex Tribe, and I shut it down. The reason I shut it down is because Discord is a prime example of creating a problem and trying to sell you the solution. And I would say, in a way, trying to force you into the solution. So basically what happened is Discord has created a platform, and I would say an environment, that allows young people that are minors, to get on the platform and to access adult-rated content. And apparently that's becoming a major problem. So what Discord has done to remedy that is they are now going to require everyone who logs into Discord to have an ID to prove who they actually are. I'm not just talking about minors, I'm talking about everybody that's on the platform. It automatically assumes that you're a minor, therefore you have to prove your innocence. And by doing that, you have to submit some form of identification. Government ID, digital ID, passport, driver's license, whatever it is, you got to do that. And then you have to scan your face so that they can verify that that ID matches the person that you are. It's basically facial recognition. And I would say borderline biometrics, because it's taking your information, it's taking your face, inputting that into the system, and then doing who knows what with it. And their whole thing was that, oh, you know, we're going to take your face, we're going to take your ID, and we're only going to store that as long as necessary so that we can verify that you are who you say you are, and then we're going to delete it. But if history has proven anything, it's that they usually don't do that. Once they have your information, they hang on to it for as long as they want to, and then they do with your information whatever they want. And the major problem here is that Discord partnered with Peter Thiel to do this. And Peter Thiel runs Planeteer. And if you know anything about Planeteer and Peter Thiel in general, you'll know that he is a major proponent and advocate, and I would say a major driving factor in digital surveillance and everything going digital so that they can monitor and surveil the entire world. That is basically where everything's headed. And if you think about the deeper meaning of what Discord was actually doing, they're basically saying that if you want to access our platform, you have to prove who you are. Think about that. That is actually the direction that the internet is headed. Not just certain platforms, not just certain apps, but the internet in general.
Social media platform Snapchat will require facial recognition and government-issued IDs to prove its teenage users are over the age of 16. It's announced the measures just 2 weeks out from Australia's world-leading ban, and as Ollie Haig reports, parents are being warned to prepare now.
It wants to make it mandatory, required by law, to hand over 100 points of identification in a bid to stop anonymous accounts from getting put up in the first place. So that means that you could be required to hand over your passport or your driver's license just to set up or maintain existing social media or dating accounts.
Because if you listen to what all these tech gurus and these people that are developing these technologies are saying, and you listen to what the people at the top are saying, the elites, the globalists, and the people running the show.
During the federal budget, the government announced $6 million for a trial of age verification technology for internet use.
They're all telling us that they want to create an internet that you have to prove who you are before you access it. That way, if you do something that they don't like, say for example, you speak out against the establishment, or you speak out against the government or certain policies, or you say something derogatory that they don't align with, or you say something that goes against the narrative, they know exactly who you are. They can trace that back to you. And that is not really censorship, it's holding people accountable.
No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a hunting weapon without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity. This paving the way for misinformation, and it is allowing people to act without being held accountable for their actions.
But it's also, if you really think about it, it's a backdoor way of doing away with free speech. It's a backdoor way of basically book burning. It's modern day book burning, because by doing that, they're creating a reality and an environment that aligns with that narrative, that agenda, and that may not be true to what is happening in the actual world around us. Because when you silence people for saying things that you don't agree with, you might actually be silencing the truth. And that is a very blurred line between censorship, freedom of speech, mass surveillance, and protecting the public. And if you really think about the deeper meaning behind all this, I would say that it's all at the detriment of us. It is not to benefit us whatsoever. They sell it to us in a way that it is protecting us, but again, they created the problem. Their platform is set up and engineered and designed for this problem to proliferate, for young people to get on there and have access to adult content. So instead of remedying that problem, they are now trying to force everyone that uses the platform into basically giving up the rights. And where does that stop? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Where does that actually end? Is it just going to end with us showing our face and proving who we are, and they actually do delete the data and nothing else happens? Or if we get on there and we say something they don't like, or we have a platform that speaks out against the establishment on a frequent basis, are they now going to track that back to us? Are they now going to hold us accountable for saying things they don't agree with? These are all things that we have to keep in mind, because when you look at other countries around the world, they're doing this kind of stuff. There are actually laws and bills that are put in place for this to happen. The UK is a prime example of that. People speak out on social media, and the government actually comes to your home and knocks on your door and tells you that you made a social media post they don't agree with, and they can lock you up for that.
This is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page, arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the electronics.
It's a Facebook crime, is it? I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Made some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's transferred.
Can you tell me what this comment was?
So I just need to know why would she's basically viewed a post which is not an arrestable offence.
Your daughter will get arrested.
For what? Viewing a social media post?
What, you're taking me away now?
Yes, so you're under arrest, so you're going to Harrogate, unfortunately.
You're taking me to Harrogate in the middle of the night over a tweet?
I am, unfortunately.
Is this what you signed up the police to do?
This is my role. I'm trying to be reasonable with you here.
Can I ask why for a second time tonight you are disturbing me and my son in my home?
Yeah, because there's I've been made aware there's videos that have been posted onto social media, including those that were made this morning.
This morning? What made this morning?
And of my officers that have been round this evening.
Right, and?
So I'm here to kindly ask that you remove said videos from social media.
It kind of seems to me like when they do that here, it's very, very close to what they're doing over there. And do we actually want to fall victim to that?
Lucy Connolly, who put out an intemperate tweet after the savage murder of those 3 beautiful young girls, she herself, a mother who had lost a child. It was intemperate, it was wrong, but she removed it 3.5 hours later, sentenced to 31 months in prison. And we, of course, have the extraordinary events that we understood yesterday of Graham Linehan, the comedic writer, and he put out some tweets months ago when he was in Arizona, and months later he arrives at Heathrow Airport to be met by 5 armed police. And he was arrested and taken away for questioning. He's not even a British citizen, he's an Irish citizen. This could happen to any American man or woman that goes to Heathrow that has said things online that the British government and British police don't like.
Is that something that we want in our society? Or is that going to strip away more of the freedoms that we would otherwise have? I think these are great questions. And I think there's actually a silver lining here. And that silver lining is that when Discord announced that, there are a lot of people that said not no, but heck no. And they canceled their account. That's exactly what I did. I announced that Monday that I found out, and thankfully it was somebody in our community that actually alerted me to this, because I wouldn't have known otherwise. I looked into it. I knew immediately that it's something I was not willing to do, and that I was willing to sacrifice my group, my tribe of almost 500 people to not have to fall in line, to not have to follow this narrative and fall victim to this agenda. So I gave people 4 days notice, and I deleted the server. I deleted all of my accounts, and I will never use Discord again. These are very personal decisions that we all have to make. And I think it's going to pay to start thinking about this stuff now, because the less pushback that they have against these policies and against these rules, the more common this is going to become. And the beautiful thing about the pushback that Discord received is that it was enough for them to at least postpone it. They haven't totally canceled it yet, but they're rethinking their partnership with Peter Thiel. And they're rethinking how they're actually going to go about this, because there were so many people that were up in arms about this and that were willing to cancel their account. They had to put into question what they were about to do, because if they decided to go through with it, it could have bankrupted Discord. And that is the power that we all have. We have to remember that, because the moment that their bottom line is put into question, that is the moment that they will change direction on whatever it is they're trying to do. And we see that throughout all of society. Every time that something has happened and there's been enough backlash and enough pushback to put into question their profit and their bottom line, the thing that they're trying to do always gets rolled back and it gets reversed. That has been one constant throughout all of modern history. And the only times that these things go through and we end up getting railroaded and we lose our rights and we lose our freedoms is when enough people comply. When enough people don't care and they would rather retain their comforts and retain their conveniences than push back. 2020 is a prime example of that. I'm sure you all remember that event. And this has been repeated throughout modern history, time and time again. So if there's one takeaway from all this, it is just think about it now. Think about what you're willing to give up in the name of comfort and convenience. And at what point do you draw the line? And when you figure that out, make sure that you stand firm in your beliefs and your convictions and never give an inch. Because the moment that you do, they will capitalize on it and they will take until there is nothing left.